Welcome to Sword and Board, a Dungeons and Dragons Onslaught podcast.
Hello and welcome back to Sword and Board, a Dungeons and Dragons Onslaught podcast. That is a mouthful. We are back. Evan and Nick and myself, Jay, we are back to talk about, you guessed it, Onslaught. Probably some other stuff as these podcasts go off the rails quite frequently, but we're here. If you like what you hear, you like the podcast and everything else, you know, you can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/the5th-trooper. The 5th Trooper is our parent company, and yeah, if you like any of this, you can also check out our website. We have a blog where we write a bunch of articles, mostly about Legion, but we're starting to write about other stuff, and yeah, so anyways, Sword and Board, here we are. What's up, boys? How's it been?
Is it weird just to call it S&B?
S&B
sounds dirty.
S&B
An Onslaught podcast.
best sounds like a music genre.
Yeah, all right, that's fair.
Maybe we're starting a boy band. The old
Yes.
SNBs.
All right, here we go.
S&B, a D&D-O.
SNB, DND.
Oh
D&D.
yes, but it's a lowercase n.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. That makes it special. Yeah, so we're here. What's been on your mind, Evan? Tell me everything. What's going on with you?
What's going on with me?
Yeah, buddy.
Well, we got the Sellsword pack, which I've opened it and looked through it, but I haven't gotten to play a game since Adepticon.
Oh, okay.
Just haven't had one to play. It's been like there's no.
Well, you have someone to play. You just refuse to come over.
Yeah, it's a half-hour drive. For me,
Wow.
I'd drive half an hour to play Onslaught with you, Jay.
Oh
Hey,
my
thanks.
God.
You know.
Oh my God.
It's not like he ever
You know what,
invites
Jay?
me to
I'd
his
drive
house.
35
Dude,
minutes.
You don't want to come to my house.
I never-
bro.
I never-
My basement's disgusting. Like, yeah, I'm doing you a favor.
I never get an invite over there. It's always about Evan.
Oh boy.
You guys
All right.
ever have a friend that you're really close with and you only live 25 minutes away and he just refuses to hang
Time's
out
going
with you?
down.
Because you lied about
Wow.
30 minutes. It's not 30 minutes. That's a lie.
I can't
It's
believe
like
you
5
even drive
minutes is
20
the
minutes to go play
cutting point
D&D
here.
with Jay.
5 minutes that's 10 minutes of your day, right? So, I mean, I don't know. It seems kind of big to me. But if you want to
Oh my God.
downgrade our friendship because of 30 minutes... You do whatever makes you feel right. If you think that's the right thing to do here.
You know what? I do. I feel like
Wow. This
my
is
car
half a
eats
decade.
gas.
Half a
Eats
decade,
gas.
and this is what I get.
Wow.
Half
All
a
right.
decade of friendship and having you over for dinner with my family. And, you know, Evan was my friend when I was on his way home from work. But now that I'm
Wow.
not.
Hey Jay, how's that pinball machine?
Hey, it's pretty amazing. Actually.
Yeah, all right.
All right.
Hey, how's that? I'm glad you're having a good time with that. That's good.
Me by myself. Because
Yeah,
no one will
well, you know
no one
what?
will come over.
They got one
one
player
else.
options, my dude. You got.
No one will drive 25 minutes to come
Oh
see me.
my God. Right. No, I've been I built Dormammu for MCP at lunch today.
Oh, nice.
Even though everyone's telling me he's hot garbage, which makes me
When
sad.
has that ever stopped you?
Yeah.
Never, and it's not going to, but I still like I don't so I'll say this. I really do honestly like Onslaught. I don't know if I like MCP. I just play it because my friends like it. So I'm just doing it because they play it.
Can I-
so I'm just
Can
kind of
I
here for the
say
ride.
this is interesting? I was actually thinking about this. We were talking about this before the cast. One of our co-acquaintances came over and we played Marvel Crisis Protocol the other night. And and we were talking about the upcoming tournament and just like wondering if you were going. And we were like, well, I guess if we go, he'll go. Like that was our answer. I think we kind of had the same feel that you're into it because we're into it. And if I'm like, hey, let's go play some MCP, you'll go.
right.
But it's not like you're not going out of your way to do it.
No.
I mean, I don't think that's that unusual of a thing, though. I mean,
Yeah.
these games, we play them because they're social games. Like, most of the game is who you're playing it with. That can make or break it. Then
Well,
Yeah, but,
Evan
like-
doesn't play with anybody more than 20 minutes away from his house. If you're
very small
Jeez.
circle.
yeah, if you're 5 minutes away outside of that 20 minutes, he refuses.
God,
Nope.
he doesn't tell you. Nope. You know what? Don't listen to him, folks. He's singing a one-sided song here. He's just
All right.
a duet without solo. But
Jay, if you were just a few houses down, he'd be over there every weekend.
Yeah, I bet
but,
you it'd be 30 seconds too far.
oh,
Yep.
but so I built Dormammu, and then
Yeah.
I'm like, what do I? Because I go through all the hobby things. So like, I'm working on conquest models. I got them all built. They just need to be painted, and then I'm like, also that they have an 800 point game mode in conquest, like half an army, but they adjust everything. It's kind of cool. It's like skirmish but good in Legion terms, like the smaller scale that. But I'm thinking like, man, I'd really like to do that 4-player Onslaught thing.
Yeah.
I just gotta like, if I go to the store though, the problem is our store doesn't sell it. So not that stops me, but like I gotta bring
Sounds like
everything.
you can open up like a trunked business.
Yeah, I've got to
sit
bring
outside,
everything. I got to
like-
bring 4 armies. I got to bring the board. Like, it's not that bad. It's not like having to bring a whole table for Legion or something. But like,
Right.
it would be nice to be able to go to a store on like Onslaught night and then show up with just like your dudes and your stuff, right? And like play.
The
But
TTS mod is starting to shape up. I haven't checked in on it in a while, actually.
it was rough when I saw it.
It was, but that was weeks ago.
Well, it wasn't like months ago for me. When I
Well,
was
yeah.
looking at it before Adepticon. But I like this game could, like with all the D&D 1 stuff they're doing, I would be shocked if this didn't have a digital they didn't make like a digital official Onslaught like game. Like
Yeah.
because like the whole point is like quick and easy, right?
Yeah.
Onslaught's supposed to be D&D, but like because there's not even any like, I'm trying to think if there's like, what would you just click your dude, right click, move him, moves up. Abilities might have triggers, right? Like, and it could even be like Blood Bowl where you select a dude and it shows you like, hey, if you go here, this guy gets a swing, like gives you like that'd be cool. So if you're listening, a digital version of Onslaught, I would pay dollars for. They did it with Underworlds, and that was actually very good. We ran a whole tournament through the digital version of Underworlds because it's like nothing to it, right? There's, you roll dice, you move a model. There's not a whole lot of like, it's not like 40K or like Legion where there's a ton of moving like gears chunking, right? Like it's
Yeah, I mean, my guess would be similarly to why Legion and X-Wing don't have official digital is I think that becomes a different class for intellectual property rights. So
Could be,
like
yeah.
so, you know, for those of you, I'm sure you guys are onto it, but WizKids makes Onslaught. They're not Wizards of the Coast. The two different
Correct.
companies, right?
Yeah.
So WizKids would have to license the digital rights in it, you know what I mean? It creates this whole like, which I'm not saying they shouldn't do. Like I absolutely think
we're just thinking out loud.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
right.
Making companies work together, even if they're, you know, bound in the same family, making them work together is still
dude.
sometimes difficult.
I'm a WizKids content creator.
Yeah, Evan and I
That
are
is what I tell
friends.
people. I'm a
Yeah.
WizKids content creator.
Right.
Was the Coast never heard of them?
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Sometimes you can't even get your friends to come over to play a game, and you want two
Watsy?
companies.
Nopesy. Nope.
Want two
Nopesy.
companies to work together. You know.
Yeah.
We used to
But
be
yeah.
so close. You know,
God, it's just so close.
makes me
The-
so sad.
God.
We've grown apart lately. You know.
We're going apart. We're just busy. Like, what do you?
Just two
Oh my
ships
God.
passing in the night.
You know,
Just-
my God.
ever since you shaved your beard, you've been a completely different man.
Ever since I shaved my beard. Wow. It was an accident. I'm trying to grow it back as fast as I can.
Well, our friendship was never an accident to me.
Oh my God.
Get some Rogaine on there, Evan. Hurry up.
Sword and Board, the crying podcast.
Wow. I'm sitting here sharing my feelings with you,
Yeah.
and you say I'm crying. I think I'm surprised it hasn't fully happened yet. That all tabletop games, I think should put in a concerted effort to put out a digital version of that game at the same time. And it shocks me with COVID, with everything that happened, that we still aren't seeing that fully happen.
It does kind of surprise me too. Once the rules are solid enough, there can be some integration problems, and I wonder which is cheaper. Like, if you had no physical production for Onslaught, you had the rules. You had the rules as they are now, locked in, completely tight, but you had no models, you had no cards, you had no board, or even plans to get those made. Which would be cheaper? To start up physical production, or to get a coding team in and actually develop an app to play the game?
I would guess that's dependent on company. If we're going to use Onslaught as an example, I would say it's probably cheaper for WizKids to do the physical product because that's what they do. Yeah. And so they, like a lot of, I mean, how many models over the years have they made for D&D, right?
And those are all digital. Yeah. They got digital copy that somewhere, right?
They're designed in CAD for sure.
Right, and they've got, so I think for them in particular, it's probably cheaper to do the physical because, I mean, you're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to produce the game, but you're only doing it really once. That's tough. Yeah, I think they're probably similarly costed, because I think the upkeep, I mean, as you know, right, like the upkeep is going to be just like, because then you need some like online system if you're, because you wouldn't do
servers and all that.
Yeah, you wouldn't do TTS, right? You would make
servers versus continuing production.
Yeah, right.
Because I think there's a world you do both, right? Like the official game mode doesn't even have to have like animations. It just like character sliding. I think there's some charm to that.
What if it did?
Hey, if it did, it'd be sweet. But like, even if the model
that's the premium content.
Yeah, if the move's just like on the board, like he moves up, and like, I'm not saying the game is worse for not having a digital version, but like, man, it'd be nice at like 9 o'clock I could just message Jay and be like, hey, do you want to get just a game of Onslaught we play, and that it does the setup, does the takedown. We just click some buttons and have a good time, then call it up. But like, because Onslaught is sold as a no hobby required, so I get why like MCP, Shatterpoint, 40K, they don't do that really, because the hobby is part of the game, and that's like a big part of it. But like Onslaught, the hobby is there. Yeah. It's definitely there, right? You can got the frameworks and all that other stuff, but like they all come pre-built, pre-painted. So you don't need to. So it'd be neat to. I'm just saying again. I'm just thinking out loud. I'm like, man. It struck me the other day because like Grammar lives hundreds of miles away from us, and I'm like, man, I'd like to play Onslaught.
For those of you.
Sorry, Nick.
That's me.
I say his name interchangeably. It just doesn't like. It's strange. My brain. I don't know. But
because I did this with my wife, like.
You call her Grammar too?
Yeah, I interchange her real name with Grammar. But because there's so many Nicks. Sorry, Nick. Like, you spell yours a little bit differently, but that's hard to like tell people that. But there's so many Nicks that like you have to like give them different names, so that I mean, there's just certain names like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of them certainly. I think we all have.
Yeah.
No one is just a full-on Nick. I don't think everyone's got something.
Yep.
But it'd be nice to play Onslaught with him, like once in a while during the week. Be like, hey, let's get a game of Onslaught instead of like. Now it's like, well, we could like, there are like TTS things you can do, right? Like you just put down like, you can superimpose the board out of a PDF on the table, and like you can just kind of roughshot it. Like, you have the boards in front of you, even, right? You just move a model around, be like, all right, this is my guy. He moves up, and then I'll roll dice on my table, or even in the TTS, and you use your spin downs in front of you. Like, you can do it. It's just not good. It's not like something
It's not. I mean, and we're spoiled. TTS for Legion is
MCP
fantastic, and has had years and years of work put into it.
Yeah,
even like things like Blood Bowl. That's very like. All the math is done. There's animations. Like, it's a whole different game. Then you go play real Blood Bowl, and you're like, oh, God, this is terrible.
Yeah.
But just so much work. Well, it's just so much set up a takedown. You have to know, like, oh, there's 2 guys around him that give +1 strength, and does that give me an extra? Well, the computer just does it, right? Like, it would be I notice sometimes too when I play digital versions of official games that I catch rules, or I've been doing something wrong, or I've been not doing something right because the computer just doesn't cheat, or I'm not saying cheat, but like it just knows, so it doesn't like let me skip it.
Accidentally cheat.
Yeah, well, cheating. It's always usually a deficit to me. Like I'm not doing something I should, and then like I get punished for it. But I don't know. I was just thinking out loud. I'm like, man, it'd be nice to have like, especially with D&D 1 coming, where it's like already kind of that, where there's like dungeon layouts and models that are 3D, and I'm like, man, it's just like 2 steps away. You could throw a skipping stone to like make Onslaught part of the D&D 1 package. Be like, oh hey, pay for D&D 1, you can play Onslaught 2. It'd be like, okay, yeah, all right. Like I didn't want to, but now I kind of do.
Well, yeah, and I think like unless you have some sort of like integrated team, it like creating a digital game until the game is actually physically out, and you could just like send the programming team the game, you're like working pretty hand in hand with them, going, okay, this is what this is gonna do. You know what I mean? Like, so it's almost like I'm okay with games doing it after they physically are produced.
Oh, sure,
because then because then you could just send the programmers and the artists like all your files. You can send them the box and be like, here's the game, make it work digitally, dog. And
just a thought, like it'd be cool because
I agree.
Yeah, that'd be great.
If I had more time, I mean, I have considered making a TTS mod. I made one for our game, our game that we did, and that it works pretty well. It took me a long time to do it though, because I'm not that great at programming. But like, there's enough resources out there that you could figure it out.
And even if you were doing it for just like casual stuff and didn't have to deal with any of the cards, a lot of that stuff is pretty well baked into the TTS formula. Like you can import models, and you can project square grids. Like all that is already there and relatively easy. It's hitting like the extra bonus features that are in it. That's where the only real trick is.
Well, and also like automating like the draws and the then
just having a shoot to your hand and then you issue out, and then it'd be nice to be able to hover over your guide and tells you what card number it is, because I can't tell you how many times in my head mostly I know, but then I'm like, gosh, shit, which one's 4 and 5? Then I'm like secretly looking, and I'm like, well, it'd be nice just to know, right? Like it's there's some cool stuff. Like there's pros and cons. But I think if it's once the game's established, I'd like to see a digital version, like an official one, come out, just so I could like play a game with Nick or Jay at a weird hour, or like you could run like a tournament in a Discord. Right, like everyone buy the game. Yep. We're gonna do an Onslaught tournament, 4-man brawl. Like, and now when you win, your title in Discord is, Grand Melee champion, right? Like, that'd be cool. Like, I think there's like, there's room there for interesting stuff.
And from a marketing perspective, like I think one of the things that lacks, I think some people are doing it, but overall lacks is like, okay, we're going to make this digital copy. If you buy a physical copy, what we'll do is we'll give you a link. You put in your purchase your receipt or whatever, right? Yep. And then you get like, maybe you get 80, 90% off the digital copy. Like you still pay like $5 or $2 or whatever. But like, I think most of us would be like, oh yeah, I'll do that all day long.
Oh yeah, and
like,
for sure.
All day long.
I would be even way down for like, hey, I don't remember the factions in like Purple Knight and Azure Knights or something, like whatever. Another faction comes out and you buy the core set, and then like the box form, so you paid your $60 or whatever the asking price is. Inside's a code, and that you get the army in the digital version.
Yep.
So like you bought your like, it's like digital ownership rights, right? Like you bought your physical copy, you own a copy of it, then you get to put it in and you get your guys there. So
GW used to do that for their codexes.
Yeah, exactly. So you bought it once and you get it in the thing. So like you buy the digital game, and then when you buy your physical army, you get the code to play them in the game. So it's like you kind of hit both markets, right? Like or maybe you could just buy the digital one for way cheaper. But
I like that. Yeah. It's like you come up with some deal, right, for people who bought the physical or if you're just buying digital, then you pay full price for whatever the digital is. But if you bought physical, you get a discount on the digital.
Yeah, something, right? Like nice. To make it because that's
or like maybe like, dude, here you go. I just came up with it, right? You buy the physical, you buy, what is it? The Red Wizards, right? You buy the physical Red Wizards. You get a code, and when your army loads into the game, you get alt sculpts for all the Red Wizards that are only for like people who purchase the physical copies.
That's fair. Or maybe they actually animate. Maybe
or different skins.
Or they just don't. Something, right? Like I feel like there's does it sound microtransaction-y? Yes, but the fact that you're getting a physical thing out of the deal, right? Like you're not buying a
and it all depends too on how like the main product is packaged. Like if the game is like free and you get the core box factions and then you can buy the extra stuff and make them cool, like microtransactions they work in that model, but
where it's like like for example, like Grammar and I, we play a game called Hunt Showdown like all the time. All the time we play Hunt Showdown, and like they have digital skins, right? You buy skins of legendary hunters that are cool. Things come out, you earn them. If they ever do a Hunt Showdown 2 and just decide to like, nope, we're done, or the company just goes out of business or something, the amount of money I put in that game over like 5 years I've been playing it or whatever, it just goes away, right? Like it just disappears.
Right.
But with this, you buy the models, and let's say the digital version or WizKids just implodes. I don't know, something bad happens, right? You still have a game.
Yes.
Like even if they're not around anymore, you still have like a physical game you can play with your friends. You're not just like,
and you got a bunch of models that actually work pretty well for
Dungeons and Dragons, right? You get like anything you want. Like
that was actually my big sell to get my locals into it, was that the models are like
pretty good,
respectably priced for pre-painted models, even if you didn't play the game, and you could use them to fill out your D&D collection.
Yeah, it's I feel like as long as you get the alt skins or something, if you buy a core set and you get it, like you get that through buying a physical product, I'm okay with that. Because then it's like you get something physical, so if they just stop supporting it, you still have your stuff, right? It's not like oh gosh, mobile games, God, people have spent like, there used to be that Facebook one, like Marvel something. I had friends who put like hundreds of dollars in that game, and then when Marvel got bought by Disney, they said nope, that's done, and then like money disappeared. They're like, all right, see ya, closing the game, bye. Like,
was it that like Club Penguin was like
that?
Yeah,
people spend thousands of dollars in Club Penguin, and they're just like, nope, bye, see ya, thanks for the cash. Like, you don't own anything there. Like, it's all digital. There's a whole other discussion about digital ownership, but like, I think that's a cool way, because they have a foot in the physical game store, to say like that's an acceptable way to do that for me, because I get something, a tangible thing, and then I also get a cool digital thing, but like they're not
right. It's the opposite. It's kind of the opposite of what I think video games still do this, because they do, because I saw that the new Jedi game came with a lightsaber, but where you could buy, like if you bought the ultra version of a game, you actually got like a statue or like a miniature. You got something like a Halo Reach, right? You got this big statue with all the characters on it. Like that thing was amazing. And so like it's the opposite of that, right? Where you're buying the physical and you're getting something special in the digital versus
buying a digital and getting something. Yep.
Yeah.
It'd just be neat. Like it's because I see like this game has a lot of potential because it's so fast and it's pretty like, honestly, you'll hear me complain about Harper's and Chloe especially and Sparkle Bang, but like it's pretty balanced overall. Like some things float to the top a little higher, but like we don't even know what the other we do know.
Yeah, we're really early in with however many waves still.
Like it's the game's still like, but you could bring anything to a local or even like one of the Gen Con or whatever, like any faction, and then have like a pretty good shot. Because it's sometimes you just roll a lot of ones. No matter how many bonuses to hit you have, roll one, you're still
auto fail.
Still feels bad. So I think there's a lot of good stuff baked in. We were talking about you mentioned, Jay.
Did I?
Things we'd like to like see at events.
Yeah.
Do you have one offhand or off the top of your head?
Yes. I would like, and I think they are, I would guess, going to head in this. I don't actually know, but would head in this direction because of the fact that they put out the four player scenarios. Like I would like to see those pods that they're doing go into the 4-player realm. So like Evan and I like have like a 3 or 4 round tournament, but it's team tournaments, where Evan and I go in as a team, and maybe we have to have the same faction, right? When the factions grow, and then we each have to pick 5 out of all the faction choices, and sell swords, and then we go in as a team and play in a team format for pods. That would be super.
That'd be cool. Even if there was like, just like even like doubles events.
Yeah,
would be cool. Like, hey, you guys can't play the same faction, to pair up, and then.
I think it'd be even just doing like one-shot pods of the 4-man game, the Grand Melee.
Yeah.
Like, so Grammar had mentioned that, like, hey, it's like, we're kind of just doing some brainstorm for the cast. He's like, what we'd like to see, and he's like, no, do 1-day tournaments. It's fine. It's not even like 1 day. It's like half a day. Three rounds of Onslaught's like, I think I started at 12, I ended at like 6 or something, like, and that's with a lunch. Like that was a lunch between our first hour round, like. Very spread out, but like that's perfect. Make it quick so you can do it on your off day from your main reason you're there. But like even go one step further and be like, all right, 4-man Grand Melees, whoever wins gets a special turtle figure, like for the thing, and then like you just play it. The pod starts when 4 people sign up. You do the draft, you play, whoever went, like it's over in like 1.5 to 2 hours. Bam, winner gets that.
It's like it's like Aces High from Edgewain, more or less.
Super cool.
Yeah,
just fire off the pod,
great.
right?
People love it. Just throw it in here.
I think that's a good idea because that just makes it so you just churn through people. Because sometimes you just want to go play a game quick. You don't want to like be all there all day, but just say you play it and you get in and out, and you maybe win a cool prize. Maybe get an alt art card for just showing up. Like, like those are like, I think that's very low hanging fruit.
Yeah,
and that's like a good like easy.
I think Onslaught would be best. It needs to. I mean, I think stay with what it's trying to do. It's not trying to be a 3-day massive tournament game like 40K Legion or whatever.
I could barely do those for the games I like put thousands of my dollars into, let alone like
it's made to be
and hours.
Thousands of hours. Like
still has that competitive edge to it, but like if you could do like there's a morning 3-round tournament and an evening 3-round tournament, and you do multiple of those. Like not you as the player, but as WizKids does multiple of those. So whenever the day off is for all the other players, they show up, they bust out a game of Onslaught and actually get in a little mini tournament.
Because it's nice because you can walk to the vendor hall in the morning and then play Onslaught in the evening and then have a good day. Right? Like get to see everything you want to see, get to play a tournament and be like, what, my day was productive.
I get the idea, like that. I found the lunch odd for those. Like I was like, well, why wouldn't you just? It's not that long. It's only like
just
only like 4 or 5 hours. So like maybe you have a 20-minute break or something after the second round, so people can go to the bathroom and come back. But like you don't really need a lunch in between rounds there. That seemed a little odd, but whatever. It's nice.
I think it's just the standard way to do it. The fact that Legion. Oh, go ahead.
You could do it in 4 hours. I think even that if you have an hour time limit and then 20 minutes between each, before and then after each round last 20s for prizes, then 20 minutes before each round. That's a 4-hour block, and that's easy sell.
It's like in Legion, we still have to hand in like paper lists once in a while to events, even though we use the software we create and it's got the list. You have to submit it on there. So like, it's just part of like the old guard. Like it's not bad, it's not like, but it's just kind of like the baked in thing. Well, we've always done it this way.
How it's always been done.
And that's not always bad, but like sometimes it could use some looking at and be like, do we need it for this? Like, can we just?
So it's funny. I was talking about this. I don't know. It kind of goes hand in hand, but sometimes we get so stuck in how things are, and we're just so used to it that we never question why it was like that to begin with. And so one of the things, this is an odd thing, but my wife is obsessed with the coronation. So, the new king of England.
Oh yeah.
And so like when the queen died, it never all like the song, the God Save the Queen, like in the Queen's name, like the labels are, you know, like from like England on their food and stuff say, you know, registered by the Queen, or but like that's all we've ever known our entire lives. That's all our parents ever knew their entire lives, right? Was the Queen has been queen since like 1950 something, and so like 53, I think, and so like. When things change and you're like, oh, so now it's going to be God Save the King. That's their new national anthem. Like, what? How? What? You know, like it like blows your mind because you're like so used to something being this forever, right? Like you don't know anything else. And I think we get like that in gaming and like structured in the systems that we find ourselves in. Is that we're just so used, well, but this is how it always was, you know, that it's hard to like pop out of that and go, well, maybe what if we did it this way? You know, it's new, everybody. Like, hold on to your pants. It's gonna be new, but I think it might be better.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, sometimes things are like that because they just work. Like for 40K, for example, you bring a printed list because how else do you even explain that to somebody else? And you're like,
you just hand it like, here's
my crack grenades. This is this guy. This is that guy. All molded to look like this guy. Like, you just hand them the piece of paper and they go like, da, 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 da. But like, like for example, like the rounds, like I don't know if many of our Onslaught rounds when I was at the tournament even went to time. Like I think we were all pretty like done and like waiting for the next round because just I think if you just speed through
one
it,
of mine did on a player who pretty much just sat down like, hey, this seems neat.
Oh yeah, that's fair. I mean, look, it's his first time playing.
Only
ever.
one of his games did, like even.
Like that's fair. But it's like I don't know. It's just it'd be interesting to see what happens. I think they're doing the right thing by just making it quick tournaments, 3 rounds, just move it along, like because I don't want to be there all day. I don't even want to be there for the games I want to go play. You know, I'm like looking over, I'm like playing Legion. I like the game, but I look over and I see like in like the vendor hall, especially like you go like PAX or Gen Con and like people are like clapping and cheering their asses off about something. I'm like, what can we just call it? Like I'm good. Why are they're smiling? We're not smiling.
I will. Yeah, dude, you're so hitting it on the head. And I think this is where in my like where I'm at mentally and in my life, like this is where Onslaught and even like Crisis Protocol kind of scratch this itch, is that they're just fun. They're just fun to play. Like, as long as you don't care overall about the outcome, like, they're just fun games. And if you're just there for the event, right? Like, that's the problem with Legion is whenever, or any competitive game, when you're playing hardcore and you're, like, really into playing the competitive side of the game, like, you almost don't have the mental capacity or wherewithal to kind of enjoy the event that you're at, right? And even like in the game, you're like you're not really enjoying the game. You're playing the game to win, and that's like Onslaught. Like every time I've played Onslaught, I'm just having a good time, and I'm just going, oh yeah, this is cool. Oh man, I'm gonna level up, or or MCP, same thing. Like I'm just having a ton of fun, and I'm just at that point in my life where that's more where I want to be. I really don't want to be sweaty anymore and like missing, like having this FOMO about the whole event, you know?
Yeah, it's like
you're not trying to get a Worlds invite for Onslaught. Like the pressure is off.
There is a
I want to win,
Worlds.
but it's like it's okay. Like
there is a WizKids Worlds.
Right. I think it's HeroClix mostly though.
Yeah, so far.
Right.
But like
I don't know how you could ever make this a Worlds.
You could. I mean, you can make it like look, you can make anything a Worlds, really. You just say like, oh, you went. But
Legion
like,
first year had a Worlds.
Yeah.
Wow.
When it was stormtroopers and snipers and Boba Fett.
Real quick, Evan, before Evan and I have been doing podcasting for about 5 years now.
Yeah.
And it's so funny how many times you and I have changed roles. Where in the beginning you were kind of like the casual, like, yeah, man, I don't know, let's just do whatever. And I was like, no, come on, we gotta be competitive, and this is how we play. And now, like, I've just noticed, like, lately, the last like year or 2 years or so, Evan's been hardcore competitive, and I'm now the Evan of the team going, yeah, I don't know, I just want to have some fun and go play Rumble Slam.
I don't do math, Shalansky.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's the change was like I used to come up with weird things and they would lose, and I just kind of accepted that over time.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I want to play quad T-47s in X-Wing because this is called X-Wing, and I'm going to play X-Wings. When I went to the Naboo Open in Syracuse, that had
not T-47s.
T-70.
T-70s. I'm sorry, that's T-70s. Sorry.
T-47s
a lot of
airspeeders. A lot of how'd they get in space?
T-70s. So I played 4 T-70s at.
Could you imagine just showing up with 4 airspeeders, going, "All right, bro, joust me, bro."
That's
or
what
don't.
I did.
I
Actually,
cable.
So I brought that to the Naboo Open for X-Wing, and there was 270 something people there. Like, that was crazy. That was like the height of X-Wing when it was sick.
Yeah.
And I made day 2, and no one had heard of me. Like, normally if you make day 2 a lot in these events, your name goes around. I was just brand new. I got a moniker called T70 Bro. I did the podcast ring because people were like, how'd you do it with like this garbage list? I'm like, I don't know. I just pushed them forward and rolled dice. And then I chased the X-Wing Dragon for a long time. Never could get a world invite. The one that just broke me was top 18. Got an invite and I came in 19th. And I'm like,
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that was up in the Canadian Nationals. And I'm like, I'm done. I tried. This is the best as I'm gonna get. And then I went to Legion, and then like I didn't really care. And then I started winning with my weird things. And then I'm like, well, why am I winning? And I was kind of winning by accident. I wasn't like doing the math. Yeah, Vader now with Vader Lat's like very good, right? Like it's someone puts it down, it's not a joke. Austin played it at Worlds, and like Austin's a very good player, right? Like he kind of knew what he was in for. But so then I'm like, well, why am I winning? And then it's like, oh, I'm stumbling into good math. Like I'm stumbling into like, well, this odds hit this. And now when I look at Legion, I'm like, all right, I'm throwing black dice. They're 50-50, so I should get 2 if I roll 4. And then you start thinking about like I should statistically get this and that, and like that's maneuvering. And I'm like, oh, I'm actually okay at that if I actually think about it. And with Onslaught's fun because Onslaught's just like whatever. It's like Blood Bowl to me. You go in like you could have the best plan in Onslaught and you roll 1 and you use your 5-turn burner, right? You hit your 5-turn ability, your other guy powers up, you roll 1, you're like, you just like deflate, but it's just like it just happens, like you just kind of accept that. Like Blood Bowl, you have the perfect plan, roll skull, doesn't matter.
9-10% of the time, it's gonna be a 1. So it'll happen throughout the game because you're gonna be throwing more than 10 dice probably.
Really flirting with that math, huh, buddy? So we well, yeah, and I think that's the thing too, is you go with Onslaught, right, where it's different from other games, is what, like, let's use Star Wars Legion as an example. When an attack is coming in, you can do the math and say, oh, yeah, maybe half of these are going to come through, right? But really, you're giving an average to a single roll when really the average isn't going to happen till over the length of the game and the number of rolls, right? And so what you're doing is so then what happens is you could go above average. So like that roll where you were only supposed to get like 3 hits, you end up getting 6 or something, right? Like something crazy happens. But with Onslaught, even if you get a critical, it's only adding on. So like, like you can look at your opponent's card or an enemy and card and go, all right, they're going to do 3 damage, right? But potentially
most critical effects aren't game changing.
Right. Like the worst they're going to do is 3 damage, and maybe I'll be stunned or slowed or something like that. You know what I mean? That's it. That's the worst. And so now I can like game around that. But with these bigger games like Legion and stuff, you're like, I have no idea what's going to happen here. Like I can guess on the average. Okay, I have this, and yeah, maybe he'll get 2 hits, but then you've like come up with 8, and you're like, well, there goes that plan. Like that guy's, that whole unit's gone. Where I find like Onslaught, your plans aren't easily squashed.
Yeah, I find Onslaught easier to do because there's a lot
less you have to deal with.
A lot less you have to deal with.
Less variance too, because it's a lot more consistent.
Mistakes get punished less. Like you move a guy out a little bit, and he's it's usually not just one shot off the board. It's like,
yeah.
oh, I took some damage. I still have a healer. Okay, like I goofed. I counted something wrong. Like I'm not just out. Or like you make a mistake and the enemy rolls a 1, and you're like, no consequences. Okay, like here we go. Or like it's you get bailed out a little bit more. And like that's good and bad. Like I'll be interested to see if they start doing tournaments and we start seeing consistent names. Like people who go to the tournaments keep winning, and like hearing from them, like, do they have a strategy? Do they or are they just kind of like, I don't know, man, I just kind of play, and like either one's okay, right? Like if the game's super casual, like a Blood Bowl or something, where it's just like, yeah, man, I don't know, like guy died first hit, whatever. Like you going like that, or is it like, well, I use this character because this ability gives me this chance to do this, and then this sets up for this, and like, is there like this complex strategy they're doing, or are they just kind of like, man, just like these guys, you know?
So I think Onslaught is actually pretty ripe for that kind of play, like the exact range measuring out. Like you can know, like, all right, if I move here and I can sidestep over here and be in range 4 of you, but you still can't get to read when you're trying to move because I'm diagonal, and like you can measure this stuff out. I think Onslaught is really ripe for these kind of big brain plays, like, oh, and I know I've got the 1 initiative next turn because you have it this turn, and like you can do some crazy stuff like that. But I don't think the structure that it's like the tournament structure will attract many of those players. But I definitely think
maybe that's good. Maybe it's good. It's just like super casual, and like that's just
I think the majority of people that will be playing this game will be playing it because it's fun in D&D.
Yeah.
Well, that's fair.
Well, and I think the other thing that makes it, this just hit me, is that your defense is constant.
You're never rolling,
right? You're not rolling.
Like,
there's no feels bad as far as like, you know, with these other games, you're rolling a defense to try to stop the offense, right, from happening. And so there's all these variations of they could roll high, you could roll low, they could roll low, you could roll high, you could both roll crap. Like, and this is just like, yeah, man, my AC is 15. Like that just is what it is.
I think that's the best way to do it. Just have it all be on one die roll and just
it makes it so you get to do the fun part. But you don't get to do the, oh God, please just give me I understand the reason for rolling defense die because it simulates chaos of battle, and like, you know, sometimes lucky shots happen and like, you know, armor fails, but it is just nice to have a game where like I just roll to it. I'm always expecting to be hit in Onslaught. Like when something moves up, I'm expecting to take damage, and I'm happily surprised when I don't. They rolled like a 3 and a 5. I'm like,
oh wow, you actually missed.
Hooray! Like, hooray, I'm not just dead. Okay. It's still a game, baby. No, I think that's next week we'll probably do sellswords. Since everyone should probably have them at this point. And there's only 4. I mean, the 4 characters probably take us a while. Maybe we each. There it is.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we could go through all 4 and just talk about where we think they fit in, and I think that'll be good.
Then we
just wanted to take a break this week and just talk about other stuff. We weren't really into the busting out a faction and go.
Well, because we got many arrows and red wizards. And they're like, the problem is that anytime we go over any these podcasts will age poorly right now because the new characters will come out so quickly. Right? It's just part of the curse of being, you know, on top of it. So it's you know, we'll get to them.
We will indeed get to them.
All right.
Yep.
You did great today, Evan. Just I don't know.
You know what? You did great.
Gold star.
Gold star.
I did
just
great?
for me. You did great. Ready to land this plane?
You know what? Jay, if you were just like a few minutes closer, Evan might go over and play a game of Onslaught.
If only I was 5 to
you were
6 minutes.
You were 20 minutes. That 20-minute mark is like peak. You're just too out.
I think I think there's some truth to that, because I think if you're like, oh, it's only 20 minutes away, you know,
Once you get that extra syllable in there, you have to add something to the 20. It's right out. Not worth.
Well, it's like then I get out of work at like 5. I get to your place at like hopefully 5:30 with traffic, and then we do whatever, then we eat, and then so we're only really doing anything that's game related for probably about an hour and a half, and then by the time I get back, it's like 9-ish, 9:30, and then I got to do like life stuff, like clean my pants, which I hate.
Yep, that's
I hate
exactly
it.
what people do.
What?
Very human response.
Just
Evan.
clean my pants,
He's just in his kitchen sink scrubbing
my pants.
The
laundry machine.
one pair he has with a sponge. He's just
Gotta be careful. Don't
Evan, what are you
it.
doing? I'm cleaning these dang pants.
You dang your pants.
He's got an old washboard. Just
Like
Just like olden times.
Emmett Ottery starting a band.
Oh my god. Emma Otter, Jug Band, Christmas Army, and Onslaught win.
Yeah.
You got the River City Nightmare Band? Perfect. That's your villain faction?
All right. Well, we'll be back next week, maybe. Who knows? Evan may be washing his pants.
He's not. Yeah.
Yeah, it may
He's
take
too busy.
too long.
Too busy with all his life stuff, like cleaning his pants.
Washing
look.
his pants.
Wash your pants, folks. That's all I can say. You get about 2-3 days out of them, wash those pants. Summer season, you're going to reek.
And on that note, we'll see you guys all next week.
Everyone, stay rad.
Wash your pants, guys.
Sword and Board is brought to you by the 5th Trooper Network.